The 2017 MLB season was probably the most insane season that I have experienced as a fan from start to finish, and today I want to relive the best moments of that season. The year before, the 2016 season ended with the Chicago Cubs beating the Cleveland Indians in the 2016 World Series, and both teams were looking very strong again, as according to a Bleacher Report prediction article in February 2017, the Cubs and Indians were projected to have the two best records in baseball once again. In free agency, the Indians also added to their strong lineup consisting of Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, and Michael Brantley by adding star hitter Edwin Encarnacion, while the Cubs lost their superstar closer Aroldis Chapman, who they had traded for in the previous trade deadline just a season before he went back to the New York Yankees, which would end up being a massive move for the surprising Yankees squad. Bartolo Colon also joined his 9th MLB team during his 47th season in Major League Baseball, but apart from that, free agency was pretty boring this season. However, there were some massive trades that happened which really shaped the league in 2017. Wade Davis was shipped from the Kansas City Royals to the Chicago Cubs to help soothe the blow that Chapman leaving would create in that roster, especially in the closer position, and the Boston Red Sox traded the #1 prospect in all of baseball for Chris Sale, who would go on to have a pretty good first season in Boston, but we'll talk about that later. 2017 was also so long ago already that Adam Eaton getting traded to the Nationals was considered a big deal at the time. But that's enough of the offseason, let's get into some games. The season started with Chris Coghlan doing one of the greatest base running moves in MLB history, where he jumped over Yadier Molina when he was dead to rights at the plate. However, this was pretty much the only interesting thing that happened for either the Blue Jays or the Cardinals in this season. Sadly, there was one team that had a much worse fate than these two, and that was the San Francisco Giants. After back-to-back second place finishes in the NL West to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Giants looked like this would be the season that they were going to be able to take back the NL West crown after they had won 3 World Series over the past 7 seasons. However, things went unbelievably poorly. The BR article that I mentioned earlier projected the Giants to win the division in 92 games throughout the season. However, they won just 64 games and were tied for the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. They won 28 games less than expected. The Giants had just 3 better than average hitters and 1 better than average pitcher throughout the season. And after an 11-23 start to the season, they just continued to play bad baseball. Stars like Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt just did not get it done this season, and Matt Cain and Jeff Samardzija each had their worst pitching seasons of their entire careers. A true first place projection to last place finish for the disappointing Giants. However, they weren't the only NL West team to shock people. 3 other teams actually did as well, this time in a positive way however. The Rockies, D-backs, and Dodgers all performed much better than expected. The Dodgers were supposed to be a good team, but they were easily the best team in baseball, winning 104 games on the backs of Justin Turner and Corey Seager on the offensive side of the ball, and Clayton Kershaw, Alex Wood, and newcomer Rich Hill all dominated, while closer Kenley Jansen had the best season of his career. Oh yeah, and don't forget about 22-year-old prospect Cody Bellinger, who had one of the best rookie seasons we have ever seen, hitting 39 home runs in just 132 games on his way to win NL Rookie of the Year. Bellinger's 39 home runs was the second most by an MLB rookie ever. Well, it was for about a half a second before American League Rookie of the Year winner Aaron Judge's numbers were written into the book, and he knocked Cody down to 3rd on the list. Mark McGwire previously held the rookie home run record at 49 home runs until 2017, when Judge knocked down the pages of the record books and hit an all-time best 52 home runs in his rookie season. One of the best, if not the best rookie season in MLB history. Maybe Ichiro's iconic Rookie of the Year season in 2001 is the best, but if not, Aaron Judge is basically right there with the best rookie seasons ever. Aaron Judge also led the American League in walks and runs scored. However, he also led the entire MLB in strikeouts, since he was one of the tallest players in MLB history, and that makes the strike zone larger due to the size of the human being. Even with the strikeouts, Judge had a .284 batting average with a .422 on base percentage and a fairly insane 1.049 OPS, which put him 2nd place in all of baseball, behind Mike Trout, who unsurprisingly had another MVP caliber season, while the Angels as a team continued to disappoint the franchise's star, going just 80-82. The Los Angeles Angels disappointing was the most normal thing about this entire season. Back to Judge and his team. Judge wasn't the only surprising member of the New York Yankees. The team as a whole was, as they competed with the highly favored Boston Red Sox for the AL East title. On the back of Judge's incredible season, the Yankees finished 91-71, just 2 games back of the Red Sox. Luis Severino also completely broke out of seemingly nowhere after posting a 5.8 ERA in 2016, jumping all the way to a 2.9 ERA in 2017. Gary Sanchez also exploded onto the scene, hitting 33 home runs in just 122 games as a rookie catcher. And even more crazy than Judge breaking the home run record for rookies was that Jacoby Ellsbury actually touched the field over 100 times this season. Truly remarkable. This insane youth movement was enough to get the Yankees into the wild card, where they played against the Minnesota Twins, who improved from 103 losses in 2016 to winning 85 games and making the postseason as the final wild card. How? Especially when you compare the two rosters from 2016 to 2017, because they were basically the same roster. I have absolutely no idea. Now, I think this was a mix of the 2016 Twins just underperforming worse than anything else has ever, but still, this is crazy. According to a poll which surveyed Twins fans, 21% of fans said the improved defense was the reason for the massive jump in wins, while another 49% said that the Twins were actually good in 2016 and they just played bad, which seems biased, but when you look at the rosters, it seems pretty accurate, to be honest. 21% also said having a shorter leash on crappy players was the reason for their success. 6% said Miguel Sano coming back to life and being good at baseball was the reason, and 1% said my favorite option of all, DFAing Danny Santana. And I know that guy sucked in his short time with the Red Sox, my favorite team. So I kind of believe that 1%, no matter what the reason was, whether it was one of the reasons listed above, or maybe the Twins just got blessed by the hand of God that season, they were in the AL wildcard game with the New York Yankees. The Tigers were the worst team in the American League this season, as Miguel Cabrera finally started to hit an age wall that would snap a 7-year streak where he was an all-star. Miggy did get one big hit in 2017, however, and that was to shove Austin Romine, the Yankees catcher, which started a decent-sized brawl in Detroit. However, he still had a below-league average offensive season for the first time in his entire career, and apart from Justin Verlander and JD Martinez, there was basically no bright spots on this lackluster Tigers roster. And by July 31st, both of those players were wearing new uniforms. The 2017 trade deadline was pretty insane, with the Tigers trading away probably the 2 best players in the entire deadline in the 2 I just mentioned, with Justin Verlander going to the Houston Astros and JD Martinez going to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both of these players dominated for their new teams, but before we get into that, we have a few more impactful trades that happened. Sonny Gray was traded to the Yankees, which ended up being an all-time useless trade as Sonny just could not pitch under the bright lights of New York. Todd Frazier, David Robertson, and Tommy Kahnle also all became Yankees in one massive trade with the White Sox, who, like usual, had to become sellers at the trade deadline because they were bad at baseball. The Dodgers traded for Yu Darvish from the Texas Rangers, while the Baltimore Orioles held on to superstar closer Zach Britton after rumors were swirling about him being traded throughout the days leading up to the deadline. The deadline certainly shaped the playoff picture, with the Arizona Diamondbacks really benefiting from the addition of JD Martinez to their already dominant rotation, which consisted of Robbie Ray, Zach Greinke, and even Patrick Corbin and Tajon Walker before they were 2 of the worst pitchers in baseball like they are today. Adding Martinez to a lineup which was headlined by David Peralta and Paul Goldschmidt was exactly what the D-backs needed, as JD Martinez had one of the most dominant stretches in Major League Baseball history, where he hit 29 home runs in just 62 games with the club, which puts him on pace to hit 75 home runs over a full 162 game season, which would break the single season record set by Barry Bonds, which is 73 home runs. Martinez also tied a Major League record for most home runs in a single game with 4 in a game at Dodger Stadium. Martinez wasn't the only player with 4 home runs in a game, however. Reds second baseman Scooter Gennett also did that early in the season, which, like, why? The Cincinnati Reds were expectedly horrible, however, and finished last place in the NL Central, while the Cubs finished first place easily, even if they were somewhat disappointing, finishing with just 92 wins, coming off of their first World Series win in 108 years. In the NL East, the Washington Nationals led the way with Ryan Zimmerman, Bryce Harper, and Anthony Rendon leading a high-powered offense, and on the pitching side, Gio Gonzalez had a sub-3 ERA, which was bested by two other starters on the team, Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg. However, their most memorable moment of the season was when the Bryce Harper versus Hunter Strickland rivalry finally reached its climax, which resulted in a brawl between the two clubs, with Harper missing his iconic helmet throw and Jeff Samardzija having his career ended by getting slammed into by his own teammate. A pretty insane conclusion to an ongoing rivalry between the two players. The second place Miami Marlins also had a pretty big storyline going on throughout the season, and that was Giancarlo Stanton was chasing 60 home runs. With 3 games left in the Miami Marlins season, Stanton mashed 2 home runs to put him at 59 homers with just 2 games to go. However, even though he won 3 for 9 in those games, he did not manage to get one of those hits to go over the wall, and he finished the season at 59 home runs. Miami ended up missing the postseason even though they came in second place, but they did also throw a no-hitter with Edison Volquez one season after the tragic passing of Jose Fernandez. The All-Star break had some cool moments as well, like Aaron Judge winning the home run derby as a rookie in Miami in front of Giancarlo Stanton, who was also competing in his own ballpark, and the All-Star game was also fun, with it going 10 innings with a game-winning home run from Robinson Cano in the top of the 10th inning, and that gave the AL their 5th victory in a row to that point. Let's move over from Miami to Texas to talk about the Rangers and their best moments of an underwhelming season. Adrian Beltre getting his 3,000th hit of his future Hall of Fame career. But before that, Beltre had one of the stupidest ejections in MLB history, when he was just a few hits away from 3,000 hits. Beltre was standing a little bit behind the batter's box, and the first base umpire wanted him to get into the on-deck circle. Beltre was afraid of a foul ball hitting him when he was standing in that spot, so he requested to not go into the on-deck circle. But the umpire insisted, so Beltre literally dragged the on-deck circle to where he wanted to stand, resulting in him getting ejected. However, the true Texas storyline was the Houston Astros, who jumped from 84 wins in 2016 to 101 wins in 2017, on the back of their superstar second baseman Jose Altuve, who posted the most impressive season of his career, and was in the MVP race with Judge in the American League, which was ironic because Judge was the tallest player in baseball and Altuve was the shortest in the league. Jose Altuve took the voting fairly easily to win MVP, which ended up making people happy at the time. The Boston Red Sox won the AL East on the back of Chris Sale's first season with Boston, where he led the league in innings pitched and strikeouts with 308. The Indians also won the AL Central, however, they did something crazier than win the division. You see, the Indians were on a 15-game win streak on September 7th after sweeping their 4th series in a row, which consisted of Kansas City, the New York Yankees, Detroit Tigers, and the Chicago White Sox, and they were just 6 games away from tying the American League record winning streak. They then swept Baltimore in a 3-game set, extending the streak to 18 in a row, and they just had to sweep the lowly Detroit Tigers and they matched the record. And then this happened.
A swing and a bouncer to third. Urshela, gloves, throws, ball game! A record-tying night in Cleveland! The Indians have matched the American League record!
Now, with the record tied, there was just one game standing in the way of them and an MLB record win streak, and their opponent was the Kansas City Royals.
Rip to right, down the line, fair ball! Around third, Ramirez will score! It's a walk-off for number 22!
The Indians walked off the Royals to get the longest win streak in American League history, and the Indians were officially so far on top of the AL Central it would be impossible for the Twins to catch up. Just like that, the playoffs were set, and it was set up to be one of the most insane postseasons in MLB history. The AL wildcard game started off with a bang in New York, with the Twins scoring 3 off Luis Severino, who was pulled with just 1 out in the first inning. But then with 2 on, Didi Gregorius stepped into the batter's box for the Yankees.
Swung on and drilled to deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It ties the game.
Didi had tied the game in the bottom of the first inning and stole all the momentum back for the Bronx Bombers. Brett Gardner then hit a go-ahead home run in the second inning, and the Yanks never looked back as Chapman closed out the game and sent the Yankees to the ALDS against the 1-seed Indians, since back in 2017, the Wild Card Series was just a one win-or-go-home game per league. In the National League, the Diamondbacks and Rockies were doing battle in the bottom of the third inning, where Daniel Descalso put the Diamondbacks up 6 runs. Skipping to the 7th inning, the Rockies brought the score to within 1 on a sac fly, and then one of the most improbable things happened.
First and second. Fly ball. Left center field. That ball's going to be in the gap. He's going for third, and he's in with a slide.
The relief pitcher Archie Bradley put the Diamondbacks up by 3 once again, and that was huge as Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado went back-to-back to cut the game back to a 1-run lead. AJ Pollock and Jeff Mathis gave the Diamondbacks their lead back and put the game out of reach for the surprising Rockies, as the D-backs moved on to face their rivals, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The ALDS kept the craziness alive, but not in the Astros versus Red Sox series. The Astros just slammed the Red Sox on the back of their MVP, who hit 3 homers and batted .553 in their 3-1 series win over Boston. The Red Sox ended their season with an inside-the-park home run from their rookie Rafael Devers, who you might have heard of by now. With that, the Red Sox disappointed in the postseason back-to-back seasons after they got swept in 2016. The second ALDS series was much more electric, however. In Game 1, the least controversial figure in all of baseball, Trevor Bauer, dominated the Yankees, while Sonny Gray continued to struggle in the Bronx as the Indians won Game 1 easily. Game 2, however, oh boy, Game 2. Nothing was easy in Game 2, like at all. Cy Young winner Corey Kluber had a 3-2 lead in the top of the third before imploding and allowing a 3-run homer to Aaron Hicks, putting the game at 6-3 and chasing the Cy Young winner out of the game in just the third inning. Greg Bird then added a 2-run homer to the score and gave the Yankees a 5-run lead, but shortly after that, this game would get turned on its head. They tied it. That Lindor grand slam still gives me goosebumps to this day, and Jay Bruce tied it in the 8th inning. The score remained there until the 13th inning, where Yan Gomes sent the Yankees to a 2-0 deficit heading back to the Bronx. But luckily for Yankees fans, the Bronx Bombers, they didn't hear a bell yet. They were still fighting. Game 3 was a 1-0 win for the Yankees, as Masahiro Tanaka dominated and Aaron Judge robbed a what would have been go-ahead home run from Lindor to keep the game scoreless. Greg Bird ended up hitting a solo homer off Andrew Miller to score the only run of the game. Game 4 was also an easy win for the Yankees because of 4 errors being committed by the Indians behind Trevor Bauer, and we were seeing a winner-take-all Game 5 back in Cleveland. This game was fairly boring. The Yankees won 5-2 in boring fashion, as Chapman got a 2-inning save to send the Yankees to their first ALCS in a couple of years. On the NL side of the division series, let's start with the Dodgers versus D-backs. Dodgers swept and it was boring. Let's move on to Nationals Cubs. Game 1 of the Cubs series, Kyle Hendricks outdueled Steven Strasburg as the Cubs won 3-0. Just 2 hits for the Nationals. Game 2 was looking like the same result was about to happen until in a 3-1 game, Bryce Harper stepped into the batter's box.
There's a drive to right. No doubt about it.
And it's all tied up, and later in the 8th inning,
Montgomery comes set. The pitch to Zim. Swinging a high fly ball. Deep left field. Sober's back at the warning track. At the wall. It's gone! It's gone! It's gone! Goodbye!
Nationals win 6-3 in Game 2, a huge win for the Nationals. Sadly for the Nationals, that game was their biggest moment of the NLDS, as they ended up losing in 5 to the Cubs, as Max Scherzer got rocked in Game 5, sending the Cubs to the NLCS versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are having no fun in this postseason because they're just slamming all of their opponents, and they did the exact same thing to the Chicago Cubs. Game 2 is the only real fun game of of the set, with Justin Turner hitting a 3-run walk-off home run. But after that, the series was all but wrapped up, as the Cubbies lost 4-1 to the Dodgers. The ALCS was a hell of a lot more fun than that one, however. Game 1 and 2 were both won by a score of 2-1, although Game 2 saw a walk-off double from Carlos Correa to give the Astros a 2-0 series lead over the Yankees. In Game 3, Judge hit a home run that made the score 8-0, which obviously put the game out of reach, as CC Sabathia was dealing on the hill. Game 4 looked bleak for the Yankees, as they were staring at a 4-0 Astros lead in the bottom of the 7th inning before scoring 6 over the course of the next 2 innings and winning 6-4 after Chapman saved the game on a 1-2-3 inning, evening the series at 2 games apiece. And then in Game 5, Tanaka threw another gem as the Yankees won easily 5-0 to put them 1 game away from the World Series. But Justin Verlander and the Houston Astros locked in with their season on the line to win the game 7-1. We were headed to Game 7 for a winner-take-all game, where Charlie Morton pitched a shutout for the Astros and the New York Yankees lost as the MVP Jose Altuve hit a home run in front of the runner-up Aaron Judge. And with that, the World Series was set. The Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Houston Astros, who were looking to win their franchise's first ring. In this series, it did not disappoint, and it was probably the best World Series we have seen since this day. The World Series started with a literal bang for the Dodgers, with their ace Clayton Kershaw taking the mound and Chris Taylor hitting a home run on the first pitch of the game that the Dodgers saw. In the 4th inning, Alex Bregman of the Astros tied it off Kershaw. Justin Turner was okay with that, as he hit a go-ahead home run in the 6th to put the game on ice for the Dodgers, as they won Game 1 with a save from Kenley Jansen. In Game 2, 13 runs were scored in 11 innings, with 8 home runs between the two teams. Jock Peterson and Corey Seager both hit homers off Justin Verlander in the first half of the game, and in the 9th inning, Marwin Gonzalez hit a game-tying home run off Jansen, just his second blown save of the entire season. To extras we go, where Altuve and Correa hit back-to-back homers in the 10th. But the Dodgers weren't done fighting, as they answered with 2 runs of their own. Luckily, the Astros had George Springer, who in the 11th inning slammed a home run of his own, this time a 2-run homer. And Chris Davinsky, he did some slamming himself, as he slammed the door on a strikeout of Yasiel Puig to even the series at 1 win apiece. Game 3 was an easy win for the Astros, and Game 4 was an easy win for the Dodgers. And that set up Game 5, aka the greatest game in the history of Major League Baseball.
That's in the air to left. Here comes Fisher. Throw by Ethier. Astros win in 10.
5 hours and 17 minutes after the first pitch, the Houston Astros were just 1 game away from their first World Series win. Game 6 was a Dodgers win, but Springer homered once again, setting up the final game as a win or go home for both clubs. And with everything on the line, Game 7 was an easy win for the Astros. Unfortunately, an underwhelming end to an absolutely insane World Series. George Springer dominated as he won World Series MVP, and all was good in the world. Wait, What was that? The Houston Astros cheated the World Series win. A few years later, it was announced that the Houston Astros had been stealing signs, and this was only discovered because Mike Fiers, a former pitcher for the team, self-reported and told the entire world that they had cheated in 2017. Everyone was extremely upset after hearing this news, but no one was more upset than the Dodgers players, who felt robbed since they lost the World Series to cheaters. Fans also thought that Jose Altuve robbed Aaron Judge of the MVP because of the cheating allegations. But with that being said, my 11-page script is done, and so is my recap of the 2017 season. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.